Hello again. So in this demonstration, you're going to see how we strengthen the lines that we painted in our previous demonstration. All quite straightforward. There's the palette as we left it. Same brush. Paint. We've just been using it a few moments ago, so there's very little to be done to change it now. Just remixing it all the same, twizzling and twirling, making sure it's as we want it to be. Wetting the knife and using that rather than the brush to do some mixing for us. A tracing brush is a delicate thing. You don't want it to get used all the time to do all your paint mixing. Palette knife is a good, hard object that can do that for you. Bringing a little bit more water in. As we said in another video, everything does depend on the climate you're working in and the kind of paint you're using. But wherever you are and whatever you are using, it's going to be the same for you, that the paint on your palette is the paint that your brush uses to paint the strokes on your glass. So time spent on your palette is really worth spending. Twizzling and twirling. Look at those marks. All of this is loading the brush, mixing the paint, and shaping the brush. Never let the brush get out of shape. And now we're ready to go. So all we're going to do is paint over those 5 strokes we painted before. And this is just a way of making them to the darkness and consistency that we want, whatever that is. And I suppose one reason why we do talk a lot about undercoating, copy tracing, strengthening, and then softening in part 3 of the ebook is that you'll read in many places that you cannot paint on top of unfired paint or else it will blister in the kiln, but really this is codswallop rubbish. So you see how it's very easy to strengthen those lines when the paint is the right consistency, the brush is the right shape. And here we are just using the blender to dry them. With every layer that you add on top of unfired paint, the paint will take longer to dry. That's something worth bearing in mind. So, a couple of key points here. When you strengthen lines, the paint underneath must be completely dry. The undercoat must be completely dry, and the copy trace lines must be completely dry. And it follows from that a little bit of time will have passed between copy tracing the lines, as you saw in the previous video. So that's why we had to do some more mixing on the palette. We had to do some more twizzling and twirling, because obviously the paint had dried out on the palette, even in those 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever it was. So again, it's things to attend to on your palette which are really, really important. And whether or not the paint for your strengthening needs to be darker than the paint for your copy tracing, it all depends on the consistency and darkness of the paint that you put on the first time for your copy tracing, and also what you want to do next. Now, what we want to do next, and what we'll show you next, is flooding, the process of applying really thick paint, either for silhouetting or for blocking in around a shape, such as a hand or a face. It's something we cover in part 2 of the ebook. So, we knew that the lines had to be strengthened to a certain thickness in order, as you will see, to provide a wall for the thick paint that we want to flood in. Until the next video, which will be about flooding, bye-bye.